Hey guys, welcome back to Critical Flick. Today I'm going to be reviewing the newest film in the Fast and Furious franchise, Fast and Furious Hobbs Shaw. So this movie is obviously the first spin-off from the Fast and Furious franchise, and it definitely to me feels like a spin-off. So as you know, it is focusing around Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's character Hobbs and Jason Statham's character Shaw, and they are basically, it's like a buddy cop movie. You have these two characters who had this really good chemistry in the last film, kind of getting their own offshoot. They're going out there to stop this basically supervillain that is Idris Elba, and yeah, it's kind of what you expect this movie to be, honestly. I have to say, there's really not a lot for me to say about it. You get some really solid action. If you're going into it expecting it to be anything other than a popcorn, bombastic action movie with its funny little quirks and things like that, and funny little jokes back and forth between The Rock and Jason Statham, I mean, you're going to be disappointed. But if you're going into it, seeing the trailers, it is what the trailers are. It's ridiculous. You cannot try and justify a lot of what goes on to it. It's not very plot heavy. It is, you know, your summer blockbuster film, and if that's what you're into, that's something that you'll get with this one. I have to say, I think the runtime for me, though, was just a little bit too long. With movies like this that are so overpowering with the constant back and forth, the constant action, it just gets a little bit lengthy, especially when there's no real plot involved. You could have tightened it up a little bit more, but overall, I just thought that that was okay. My biggest issue is when you go into a film like this, like I said, you're expecting it to be kind of like quote-unquote dumb action, and it's hard for me to kind of review that, because compared to another film that would be in a action genre, it may not be as good because it's not living up to that standard. For me, a film like Mission Impossible Fallout, incredibly well-made film, incredible acting, incredible set pieces, a somewhat interesting story, really good and real action. And then you compare it to this, which is kind of, the action's not as thought out. It doesn't feel as tangible as real. It's kind of just ridiculous superhero action. So in a way, it's not my cup of tea. I prefer the more grounded action, but I can see how people would really enjoy this film. If you liked the last Fast and Furious, I think you would like this one. It does try to pull in that family aspect that all these films have in the Fast and Furious franchise. I don't think it executes it quite as well because I'm not as invested in these characters. When you're seeing all the characters that we're going through in the earlier films with, you know, Brian O'Connor and Dom and all them, they felt like a family. It felt real. Their connection felt tangible, and that's why it was so impactful with the events of the 7th film and the passing of Paul Walker. This one, not so much. I mean, they want you to feel important. They try to create a new kind of spin-off crew in it, and I don't know. And maybe it'll work. Maybe they'll grow on me going forward. But as a launching point, I just personally wasn't that invested. So if I were to rate this movie, I would give it a 6.5 out of 10. I think it's fairly in line with the last film. I think that Fast and Furious has decided this is its lane it's going to move into, and that's totally fine. It goes into the totally ridiculous, over-the-top action. A lot of people really enjoy that. That's not necessarily something I personally love. But for what it was, I thought it was enjoyable. I think that it's an entertaining movie. I went in, I enjoyed it. I thought there were some funny moments. I thought some really cool action. Just not a lot of meat on the bone beneath those really superficial things about the film. But yeah, just overall, just kind of a fun movie. Alright guys, so those are my quick thoughts on Hobbs and Shaw. Let me know how you felt about it. Maybe you really enjoyed it, maybe you really loved it. Do you like the direction that Fast and Furious has taken? Do you like how it's gone from this more grounded, not necessarily grounded, but a little more realistic, little more down-to-earth story that's on a small scale, to this huge, bombastic, insane action that seems to be going everywhere? I mean, the sky's the limit. We've heard about space. We've heard about everything. I think anything's possible at this point. We could go time travel, aliens, anything's possible. So let me know how you feel. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Comment down below, and see you guys next time.